had a situation where we developed a capacity and demand tracker, but we really needed to do some more additional work on it, and we needed some additional technical expertise to help us really identify additional indicators or measures that we wanted to bring into the capacity and demand tracker, but also then to present that information in a way that the end user, which is a range of very senior managers across the entirety of the SDP footprint, they could look at that information in a format that was going to be developed by yourselves and really get to a situation very quickly where they understood where the pressures were building up in the system. This is not a performance indicator. It's basically about aligning capacity with demand and knowing where demand was either exceeding or about to exceed that available demand. So from my perspective, what you guys were able to do was to develop and enhance the capacity and demand tracker, but also to help us develop that daily briefing and to construct it in such a way that it did precisely what I've just outlined, which was to give senior managers who are obviously extremely busy a very quick overview of what was happening in the system and where the pressures were building up.
So, being from a BI background, we've worked with a lot of consultants, and sometimes you go into it with a little bit of pessimism about that relationship and how that's going to kind of pan out. Kind of personally, I found you really flexible, really flexible and really just nice to work with. But also, I think the main thing for me is that you are extremely specialist at what you're unique at, which is the data presentation side of things. So what I felt specifically is that, you know, anyone can say, oh, let's do a portal, but actually I felt like you brought quite specific skills around data presentation and the process around that has enhanced the end product really. So we haven't just been served up with kind of, you know, here's a portal, anyone can do that, but we've been served up with the project that's been well thought through. And I know a lot of the calls that we had and the debates we had was around specifics, like what does this chart need to look like, what does that chart, and I think that's really important because it's integral to having a good product. And I felt like you guys, Cloud2, really guided us through that process well.
They were obviously working on this full time and they were focused on our needs and had that two-way conversation where, because it was an iterative process, in other words, we had a fair idea of what we wanted, but then we brought in new ideas, new suggestions. So we were able to bounce off each other. So you didn't stick rigidly to the brief in the sense that you were able to help us expand on that brief. And you were also then flexible, as Helen has said, by adding in additional requirements as they were identified by people external to us across the wider SDP. Also that intellect and that challenge that you brought to the meetings, but it was never overly complicated. We tried to keep it to the point and straightforward as possible. And I think that's why we ended up with a good product that's been well understood and well received across the SDP.
Yeah, I think for me, it definitely the skills in data visualization. I think the flexibility to change in needs, and I'd pick up on Chris's simplicity. So we weren't bamboozled with, you know, things that we might have thought we needed because we didn't understand really what we were being offered. And I think the final thing as well is you did project manage us well. So, you know, we would say we want something this week, you would deliver it, and then we'd put a change in need in, and then you would go, oh, okay, well, that'll be done by next week. And I don't know, there was structure to the process. There's quite a lot of attention around what we've done here. And it is, you know, it is something that other places are wanting to try and replicate.
I think it's helped focus conversation, certainly across some of the patches. The fact that now that we can see very clearly that acute activity is ramping up, also then that where we're at in terms of availability of intermediate beds, other types of step-down beds, nursing home beds, really does give us a sense that where the pressures across the system are building up in one place. That simply didn't exist before, and I know it doesn't exist in one place across other SDP. So I think that's been the real important thing. I can look at this every day and get a sense very quickly where we're at in the system and how quickly the system is heating up, which is exactly what we wanted to do. And I know that teams are using it to inform their discussions.